So during compact development, it was noticed that the infrastructure project under the compact was not going to reach everyone in a meaningful way. Suggestions were made right at inception to have an innovation grants program. The overall objective of the innovation grants program was to have this private sector participation and contribution. And the core values basically are transparency, accountability, and also social and gender inclusion. And we had those at the back of our mind during the process of soliciting for proposals and innovations from the private sector. The idea was to get as many people who are able to provide solutions to fund those projects and to be able to support them in implementation to ensure that the benefits go mostly, to the poor. Our criteria in terms of the selection of the innovations was to see how they relate with the overall objectives of the compact. And so we looked at projects or applications which had a connection to water supply, sanitation, or drainage, and solid waste. So all these projects were intended to have a strong link to these, and also with a primary objective of reaching out to the most vulnerable and poor in the communities of Lusaka. The project has awarded 14 grants to 12 institutions, valued at about $6.5 million. And of this 6.5 million, close to 5 million has been distributed or disbursed to the grantees, and they've implemented this project. Our initial target was to reach 54,000 beneficiaries, but this was surpassed, and a total of over 90,000 beneficiaries have benefited from the project. GP&J was one of those CBEs, the community-based enterprise, which was involved in solid waste collection. They were using the ad hoc, push carts, which were being drawn by people. Maybe 5 people would go from house to house collecting garbage at quite minimal fees. It was quite labor-intensive. So the project supported GP&J to buy motorized tricycles so that they'll be able to collect garbage with ease and just drive through the community. The project also supported them with secondary collection, which meant that they have now a hook lift truck, which is able to dump the waste that is being collected in the community right up to the dump site.
Millennium Challenge came in with the water issues. They knew that even if they can put up a beautiful drainage, but that drainage will be full of waste. So they now thought of coming up with a component that would start managing waste. Our business here as a community-based enterprises, we are collecting waste from the community, and we collect this waste from door to door. And then they put them on the roadside. And then when the day for that collection comes, if it is a Monday, we go in that area for Monday. Then the tricycles will go through with the waste pickers, and then they will load in the tricycle, then bring it here at the sorting center. Then here it's poured on the ground, sort out the plastics, and then the rest of that material that will say this cannot be used is the one now which goes to landfill. We came up with this idea because we realized instead of using 2 containers, we are using 3 containers. So the other containers could be just for plastics. So otherwise it has helped us to reduce the amount of waste that goes to the landfill. Under the project, even their salaries had to improve. And now they are even on APSA, which is a pensionable thing.
So pamene sinali kusebenza, sinali kuviona. Koma nabwera pano kupeza ntchito iyi. So ntchito imandithandizirako kusunga vana vanga, nilibe pambo, nilibe. So naiwona bwino. Mkusenza kwa kaena. So imandithandizirako za bwino mwandi.
That time it was just you work at the month end, you are paid and you go. And from the grant, they have even a medical facility. From the grant, we didn't have the protecting equipment because we couldn't manage, because the money we were collecting from the community was still very few. So we were just working for the sake of surviving. So now the grant had to buy us uniforms. Everything that was required for this thing to take off, it came from the grant. The garbage was all over. We used to have diarrhea diseases because there were piles and piles everywhere. Community were piling waste in their backyards, those who could have the backyards. Those who could find a space anywhere where they would feel they would dump. They would just dump and then in drainages. But if you go even in these streets, though even the roads are not all that, you'd find that they are clean because of the same project. And people are appreciating because they are no longer paying so much money on their children of diarrhea diseases, paying money for target to spray for the flies. So it's a good thing for us Zambians, and we appreciate the American people who gave us this taxpayers' money. This is why us as a CBE, we have taken this serious because we realize this is other people's money. So we want to use it for its intended purpose, and this is what we are doing.
The results have actually been very impressive. GP&J has been able to collect much more from the community. They've actually even expanded their collection, so that is very good because many more people are being reached with that service. And also their cash flow has increased. They are able to now make more money and employ many more staff who are now on their payroll.
Now when Millennium Challenge came in with this grant, we have seen from the 500 people that we are servicing, as we are talking now, we are talking of 2,225 people subscribing to the system. Though the paying has been difficult, but they are beginning to appreciate. It's just a question of trying to have a good enforcement, talking to the people, and then I think we will manage, because this is our system. So it's up to us to keep that system running.
Keepers Foundation Zambia was actually the smallest grant that we had on the project. However, it was one of those which had a very high impact in terms of working with the communities and collecting recyclable materials and also just solid waste within the communities.
Keepers Zambia Foundation was formed to work with the socially and economically disadvantaged communities, both in rural and peri-urban. Our focus really is centered on 3 approaches. 1, we are looking at the hygiene in terms of clean environment. 2, we are looking at the empowerment of the communities. 3, we are looking at the creation of employment.
The KZF purpose to train how to do the business. So that's how we started. Yes. Sometimes we use waste plastic. Yeah, if we buy something using the plastic, we take it and cut it as long as it's clean. Then we thought, what can we do with this plastic? So we thought of making bags. Then after we make bags, we sell it. We teach people where they can put the waste, maybe the cabbages. Then there's a CB. There's a CB here in the community. They collect it. They collect the beans, the cabbages, but they pay there at the CB. Yes, we just teach them how to handle the waste. We feel very happy. Yes, we feel good.
Apo nenze tabe voluntary work pa chipata clinic. Aho pamene nayamba ntchito yameneyi, ntchito yanitandizira mwandi. Yanitandizira sina kukwanisa kugula even bag ya unga, sina kukwanisa nenze umuntu wopemba chabe. Sina kukwanisa kushita nenze kuna mwana wodwala. Ndeno nisovinga kuna tuma problem tuna so apa niliko ka school ka psychosocial. nikwanisa kulipira neka kwamene kucha na ndalama and then ngakwabwera mulendo so transport nichosa chabe nilikuwa na mwana amene amadwala amafunika kutenga mankhwala ku chipatala so nimachita bwanji nimakwanisa kutenga ndalama nomupasa aindotenga ndalama aindotenga mankhwala so mankaidwanika aenda chinja so monga mamene nili pamene ganizira pano so nakulako okay natuma bag to cement tuli nyumba umo ni ganiza zokuti ni mange hapa ndiye pamene vili koke vintu vachinja vili kwati easy life yachi kalako easy mamene tisebenzera mwandini kuoneka mu komboni mwatu oloka botolo manje kamba kusoba kuoneka tisebenzera yotikili na bwino bantu banachila dira but banachila ndira chifukwa tichosa mabotolo kulibe botolo mu road.
Kepa Zambia Foundation with other stakeholders managed to build the capacity of the people we're calling community-based entrepreneurs who are now managing the issues of waste management, collection and disposal. Then these people, again, at the same time, their incomes have increased. Then at the same time, they have created employment. So that's why we're looking at this as a very good project, which has got a lot of multiplier and is quite sustainable in the way it was designed.
When the project started, I also came in. I applied through the Lusaka City Council. That's when they also allowed me to start now collecting waste. The truck, when it came in, it has helped us to collect as much as more waste from the community because before that, we were hiring trucks, which were so expensive for us. So in that way, through this truck, it has helped us at least to transport our waste from this community to the dump site. We have done what we could. At least people, they are happy with our services, which we are doing here.
I'm a waste management champion. We learned a lot of things. We started with the business management. They taught us how we can manage our businesses. And at the moment, now we are doing the sensitization in the field, in the community, sensitizing people about the garbage.
When we came in, one thing which was that the people started viewing garbage as something which has got value, because there is value addition now. In the past, people could just bypass, could see it piring. So from the economical point, we are saying the people have started now viewing solid waste as something which has got value, where they can get a livelihood out of it. Then the other side, we are looking at the issues of environment. People now are living in a clean environment. I think there is one component also which is very important, is that the people now are willing to pay for a service, which was not the case before. Because I think a collection of garbage was viewed as a public good, which has to be done by the local government, which cannot manage because of inadequate funding. But now the people have taken it upon themselves, so which was not there 5 years ago.
Newtek Castro Shanobe, who's the founder for that company, applied as a startup. So that was a bit of a challenge in terms of how much capacity he had to be able to implement the project. But the team had confidence that his innovation was good, and he had the necessary initial capacities that would help in terms of implementing the project.
When MCA put out an advert calling for concept notes, we then thought this was an opportunity to procure equipment, because our biggest challenge was access to finance to set up this idea, because basically it was an idea that we had just tested manually, so we didn't have any equipment, so we're looking for funding to procure this equipment. Well, we're working with a number of Millennium Challenge grantees, other grantees, to access the materials. One of them is GP&J. So GP&J is one organization that we buy the recyclable from. So their main business is to collect waste from communities and then take to Chunga dump site. So we then buy off the plastics from them. There's a project called Vision Green Andaman Japamozi that is in Vera Chiluba. That is also another supplier of recyclable. So we've been procuring materials from those. So their main interest, like for Vision Green, their focus is just to collect recyclables. So they collect, other than plastic, they collect bottles and paper as well, but we off-take the plastics. What we do is that when we receive the material, once somebody gets a minimum of about 200 kilograms, they give us a call to go and pick up. So we've got a truck that we procured with the support of MCA that we use to go and pick the material in the different communities. Then once the material comes in, it is similar to these bags that are here. So they just, once the material comes here, we start by sorting and removing the stickers from the containers. And once we remove the stickers, we then crush the plastics into flakes. Then from crushing into flakes, we then wash it and disinfect the plastics. That's when we dry the flakes. Then from drying the flakes, we run it through the pelletizing line to make the pellets. So there are a number of people that are now interested in the pellets and the poles. For the poles, after we make the pellets, that's when we then now attach molds for producing the poles, which we then make poles, and we're doing fencing for the farms and also outdoor furniture. We currently have a total of 8 people working here. 2 of them are working part-time. So the other 6 have been, from the 6, 5 of them were working elsewhere, but now they're getting better revenue or income as opposed to where they were. One of them was basically a freelance carpenter who has also joined us to help us do the outdoor furniture. And the biggest benefit that we've had as grantees is that, firstly, it's very difficult to access finance as when you have an innovation. And with MCA, with the windows that we had for both the small and the bigger grants, we had access to try out some innovations. And for us, we managed to also secure other partnerships that helped us access other equipment as well. So the IGP in itself also helped us improve our management skills because we had a series of trainings. I'd just like to appreciate not only the funding, but also the knowledge and the linkages that MCA and IGP has helped us to get, because through their support, we've been able to set up this innovation that does not only benefit us as employees of New Tech Recycling, but also has a positive impact on the environment and on the country as a whole. And we hope in future we could get some linkages and partnerships that we can scale it out countrywide, because it's also benefiting the very vulnerable people in the communities who are collecting these materials for us to access.
Solid Tech has set up a manufacturing company processing recycled plastics. The project has supported him in purchasing the equipment and developing the value chain of getting the plastics from the various women groups who then supply him with plastics, which are then recycled to make various products. It's amazing to see how much benefit this has brought to the collectors who have been able to raise their income, but also to Mr. Zulu's business because it's now been able to increase in terms of the number of employees that he has, and also the amount of tonnage of plastics that he's able to process into valuable products.
The starting point is the women actually in our society, in the compounds. It's the women who pick this waste plastic. We go to them to pick this waste. We buy actually from them. And when we buy from them, we assist them, because most of these women in our society are suffering. You know, they have got children. There are some who are widows, and they want to get some money to help their children go to school and improve their livelihood. And every day our vehicle is very busy. Our vehicles are going around, even weekends. We don't stop. weekends, holidays. We are receiving calls from all over. This is showing us that actually it's important for us to continue this process in order for us to make Zambia clean. When it comes here, we have to sort out this kind of plastic. When we sort out, we clean, and then we crush. After the crushing, we take them to the pelletizing process. We put them in the pelletizer, where actually small grains are being produced. When these grains are being produced, they are taken further into the extruder. And this extruder, this is the machine actually, this is the main machine which makes the material that is ready now for making our sacks. After we put this material on the sacking machine, it actually weaves this material into a sack. Thereafter, when we get this roll, it's cut into a bag size. From the bag size, it's taken to the sewing machine where it's sewn. And after being sewn, the bag is ready for use. And then we also use these threads on the machine which makes ropes so that it's actually twisted. From the twister, it comes to the bow maker. I feel very, very proud when I go out. I see my bags actually being used. I see our ropes. In fact, for our ropes, we are the main suppliers in Zambia at the moment. There are other people in Lusaka who make, but I'm sure for us, it's a very big success. You go anywhere in this country, you'll find our ropes. Be it on the Copper Belt, Lusaka, Southern Province, you'll find our products. In our country, there are a lot of schools which have got no desks. A lot of children are sitting on the floor. But we are going to contribute, we are going to assist by actually, in some cases, we have to give some schools free furniture because we want to help. I think we were assisted by Millennium Challenge, and I think we need to assist as well. Like, for example, here in Kabwe, we have sold some furniture to some school at a very, very, very minimal value. So for me, it's a very good thing to say that we have been able to produce something that is now helping our society. We are interested, first of all, to ensure that the environment is okay, and secondly, to give an economic impact. An economic impact in the sense that we will create jobs. Already we have created jobs, because at the beginning, our organization had only about 6 people, about 5 to 6 people. But as I'm talking now, we've got almost about 40, 50 people. And this is a great jump I think the project has given us. So to me, I think it's very, very important to see that our company has been involved in doing all these things. The environment aspect is very, very important, and we are going to continue to see that this country is actually clean, because without doing that, we are going to have diseases, we are going to have very big problems that actually will fail to solve. But for me, I'm very happy that I've contributed to the environmental aspect as well as to the economic aspect. Before, when people threw these bottles away, they drink their drink and then they throw this bottle away. They'll leave it there. They'll just be kicking it until you have a heap of this waste plastic. But now, it's no longer the case, because everybody has realized that this waste plastic is money. So our compounds, I can assure you now, are cleaner than the way they were some 4 or 5 years ago. You can see before, these drainages were full of plastic waste. But because of the impact of solid tech systems, these drainages now are quite empty. And the water is flows because there's no plastic waste. This is what the company is doing in these compounds of Zambia. We have been trying to speak to the women to pick this plastic from all the drainages in these compounds so that these drainages can actually be clean. The initial starting point is Millennium Challenge, because without them, we wouldn't be where we are today. I think it's very crucial. It was crucial for us, I think, to get those funds.
Manja Pamozi, meaning putting our hands together to clean up the environment. So this establishes the value chains around the city by building capacities in collectors who get recyclable materials, including plastics, cardboards, bottles, and tins. So they bring them to an aggregator who then buys from the initial collectors. Then once the aggregator reaches the targets in terms of much quantity, then they are collected and sent to the processors, who then go to process and make valuable products from that.
Zambian breweries realized that most of our post-consumer packaging waste was coming in recyclable materials that would otherwise create dirty or congest different areas in our city. And so the company sat down and thought that we could as well be part of the solution to the problem of waste in the city.
Instead of filling up the streets, we collect this. We have our collectors on site. They collect all the recyclable materials. They bring. So as you can see in my background, there's a collection. There's a hype collection of the cartons, conical cartons. These basically are a 1 week collection. Yes, from a square radius, probably of about 5 kilometers from here.
So we have set up 13 buyback centers. And these buyback centers are managed by people we call aggregators. Collectors are women and men who we have mobilized, engaged, and trained. We have enrolled, trained, and engaged a total of over 690 collectors across Lusaka. And so these collectors will be found in the areas where we have set up the 13 buyback centers. Since the inception of the project in February of 2015, on average per month, the people that are involved in the value chain, that is the collectors as well as the aggregators, are able to make an income of 450,000 kwacha through their business transactions. Over 78% of the collectors involved in the value chain are women. And most of these women actually are coming from households that are broken. By that I mean quite a number of them were either widowed, quite a number of them are single, quite a number of them are old. And so they would otherwise have no revenue streams, they would have no income until an opportunity like Manja Pamozi came through, where they got engaged and from zero they went up to become heroes. And we've got examples of women who were doing nothing, sleeping on an empty stomach. And since their involvement in Manja Pamozi, some of them are able to pay for their siblings' school fees, for their children's school fees. They're able to provide 3 decent meals in a day, which they could otherwise not be able to provide before they were involved in the Manja Pamozi value chain. So all those are pointers to the fact that this project has made a huge difference in the lives of different players, and particularly the women that have been involved in the project from inception.
Palibe banenenze kuchita, banene kalibe kuyamba Manja Pamozi, palibe chanene nachitako na kuchimozi. So pamene inabwira Manja Pamozi, ndiye pamene tinayamba manje kuchita correct mabotrozi, maheu, madishezi, maplastiki, ma score, socha betikareta, bati pasa, bati kashinga kandrama, tapelekera bana kuskuru, tadya, kambili stima kwanisa kukaika kutika fike pa month end.
Manja Pamozi or stroke IGP is mainly about recycling. It's about solid waste management in a sustainable way. For myself, even if I'm not making as much money as I should, but there is potential. I can employ people and pay them salaries. And I can also help the women who supply the materials to me. I buy, and then the money that they get, they use it for their daily lives.
Nshiramba okutola no napa natampa kokutola nimona kuti paleba ko change vantu nganatola naisa mukushitisha kokanono kuno na kulya kung'anda na mukushita moto totondefu aya twakudya abana pang'anda baboya bajoyina badoba nabo baleta baonamo ubwino manje kuti akazi vintu tezokuona nisochabe kazi vina phindu ifunika kuti zona ntchito yathu iyi kaiti tidoba madoti yonse maplastiki maboto machani macardbox munkhalako kilini mujamu
per day kai sometimes timatenga green label then titenga 2 green label taimangira pamozi so then tatwika so tabwereramo futi taindochita futi correct futi tatenga futi penangu kuchoka from 8 hours to 16 hours tibwera chabiti ileta ma correct taita kuma heu ma dishes machani vapaka chefasi makamaka ne mapaka fasi ni clear clear na maheo ndia mne mapaka fasi so ngati ni clear eve tingalete the whole day tingo kuleta chema saka nangu almost nangu 10 masaka tingalete pede manebazi semu paneti na bwata yamba nangu now so wamatiseka wamakamba tiliko so so ine kulingana na chamene nichita niziva chane nichita chifuka sinigona njala abana bakudya every time tikudya sitigona njala abana kusukuru baenda sometimes manebazi benangu bana kusukuru so baenda because wa ndrama balibe but ine bana kusukuru baenda kudya nikudya every day because out nishita correct my bottles nangu bani sekati ndino funta but nishita correct bwino panyumba bana sibagona njala.
Lusaka, our capital city, is an area that has been known to have episodes of cholera, a breakout of a diarrheal disease that has affected a number of households in the recent past. So projects like Manjapamozi have played a pivotal role to ensure that our surroundings are clean. Our drainages, for example, the ones that MCA Zambia has helped to fund and construct, are kept for a longer space of time and are able to help with the passage of water. And beyond that, we are in an environment that is more acceptable now than before. And so all that is because of interventions like what Manjapamozi has been able to contribute to. Our collections from our different communities has been able to see to it that our communities are cleaner and we're in a cleaner environment, and so less disease, less problems, and less burden on different donors that would want to invest in such kind of challenges. We are very positive that Manjapamozi will be very sustainable, and from what we can see right now, it is quite sustainable. Because, for example, from inception to date, we have collected over 6,028 tons of recyclable waste. And that amounts to over 1 million kwacha in revenue that has been earned by the collectors and aggregators involved in the value chain. And so because of that, we're confidently able to say that these structures are sustainable and this project is sustainable. And as a result of that, we've gone ahead to facilitate the setting up of the Manjapamozi Foundation Limited to continue with such activities beyond Lusaka.
Afya Mzuri was an interesting project because it was one which tried to combine sanitation with the menstrual hygiene. We loved the innovation and supported them in implementing the project in Mtendere and Kazimai markets. The challenge that they were trying to address in that project was the fact that the women especially we are not having good access to sanitation.
This market is the largest, one of the largest markets in Lusaka, and it's the most cleanest market in Lusaka. There were about over 800 traders in this market. Over 800 traders in this market. We can even be close to 1,000. The market is never the same now. We never used to have a market with a flushable toilet, but now women are very excited to have such kind of a facility. And we are very grateful that they came at the time when we really needed such kind of a facility, because way back we have been just using the pit latrines, which were not very good, and most of the people are getting some diseases like cholera, dysentery, typhoid, because of the facilities were not okay. But currently the facility is okay, and we are very grateful that women are even able to go there and have a bath after maybe working for too long. And even those women who get sick when they are doing the business, they are able to go and do the bathing there, and they come back and they continue to do their businesses without any problems.
This market started way back in 1969, and since then we've been using a pit latrine, but things now have really changed. We need the flushable modern toilet, of which you have really done to us.
In this market, women are very happy because we don't go home to bath when we are in the monthly period. We bath here, and we have got good toilets.
If you are on your cycle days, it was difficult for people to work. Some would abstain their days at home. So after those, they went out of losses in businesses. So it was difficult. Now, because of that toilet, it will be helping a lot.
Ours was to respond to the challenge of adequate sanitation to be provided to the women in the market. By this, we provided a comprehensive package. We built them a shelter, which is a facility that has toilets and showers that the women are able to use while in the markets, because time was lost before these shelters were constructed in the markets. What they used to do during menstruation at a time, they will stay away from their businesses. But this time around, they have a shelter within their market, which is a place of trading. So they are not losing out, so it's time saving for them. And for those that we have trained in the production of sanitary towels, they are able to sell and they are making an income.
At the first time, we were telling people the way we can use these sanitary pads, washing and ironing it. And it took 6 months for this to get expired. And those disposable ones, every month you need to buy. So concerning money problem, they get to understand that these sanitary towels, they are better than those disposable ones. So people, they are comfortable with this and they are happy about this because the price is minimum.
It has been easy for a girl child because some of the parents that can't afford to buy pads. So once we introduce this to them, it's easy for parents to buy. Once they buy this, it's a year thing to use. Yes, they have that confidence. Because even if they are working, they'll say that I'm a woman because what they are using is clean and it's washable, which is something even they know that I'm working, even if I'm on my cycle days, I'll be able to go and wash, to work, I'm comfortable, I'm clean. When you're on a cycle days, you are not okay, you can't work properly, you always think that I'm dirty, I'm this. But once you are clean, you know that I'll go to the bathroom and wash, which is okay for them. And they even have that impact that where I work from, there's a place where I can be able to change. Even when you invite a guest will be able to use a clean toilet. So I think this has changed a lot.
Like us women, we are the ones looking the families at home. We are the ones taking the children at school. So we have got an impact of challenging things. So as we are doing this, we really appreciate it because you are empowering us with more knowledge. We really appreciate about that.
The project is worth scaling up because it's self-sustaining. It can be generated anywhere else because it's just like you have to pump in money once. You give a skill to people, they take it for the rest of your life. The toilet that we found that have been in existence in the market, they've been there for about 45 years. So you can imagine the improved sanitation facility we've put. We're talking about a project that is going to stand for the next 60 years. So I'm very confident it's going to stand the test of time. I'm very happy that the results have impacted the people. And then not just this year, not next year, but it is very sustainable and it can be scaled up in any other place. It's worth investing.
The Water Sanitation Association of Zambia was supported with a grant in the initial cycle 1. They got funds to implement their biodigesters, biolatrines, in 2 community schools.
Our main focus was to not only improve the sanitation facilities in order for the students to be accessing them, so that we can also improve attendance in the classrooms. Our other focus was to also protect underground water through the implementation of the biogas digester, because they're watertight, and through the use of the toilets, no fecal matter is able to contaminate underground water.
The old toilets was built by changes too. Then the Wasaza came in. They said we want to add more toilets. The pupils, upon seeing that they've built these flushed toilets, then the pupils were very happy, because before it has no privacy.
We are setting up sanitation facilities that comprise of a biodigester and then a superstructure comprising of the toilets. We have an average of around 800 pupils per school times 8. That's around 6,400 pupils.
In the second cycle, Wasaza was given a grant which supported 8 additional schools with a similar project, with a similar interventions of doing biolatrines, but also providing water to the schools which didn't have.
Our sanitary facilities were not enough, because we only had 2 toilets for boys and also 2 for girls. And we have 560 pupils sharing those 2 toilets. This has added value, because we have 3 more toilets added to the 2, bringing it to 5 for boys, 5 for girls. And also an extra toilet for male staff, extra toilet for female staff. We also have an added advantage of having a shower for boys and girls. You know, sometimes our children come to school without bathing. So with the shower in place, it's adding value.
The total beneficiaries amount to about 8,700 in total. For the students, it was very important for us to upscale, because we also had to look at the aspect of menstrual hygiene, especially for the female students. So this second phase incorporated the aspect of health education in menstrual hygiene management for the female students, as well as for the female teachers that were able to facilitate to deliver these talks.
Some children used to get diarrhea, so the enrollment of the school, other children used to get sick and their parents used to come here and complain. Because of that, the school was turning down, so they had to close it for a few months. Hygiene is important, because when you maintain proper hygiene, you can keep away from germs.
It is a very big shift, because at the moment, at least, we have eliminated the issues of queuing up and all the toilets being occupied, while other students might want to use them. And the incorporation of the education aspect that we brought in as well, teaching the students as well as the teachers proper ways of handling the facilities and the damages of maybe urinating outside or defecating openly. We were able to use something that we did through the education and health sessions that we are doing with each and every school with the students. So that more or less added to the knowledge base on issues of sanitation and hygiene, and why they're supposed to be doing certain practices the way they're supposed to be followed in order to prevent outbreaks of diseases.
ever since Wasaza came in. We are privileged to have been given a chance of them bringing a new toilet, and this is going to provide the school with good enrollment, because one of the needs of our parents in this community is they want to see a good school where they take their children to. When we look at the toilets that you've brought now, they are good, and they are not only good, but they are also going to provide good hygiene to us as a school and the learners.
We started our operations in 1999, and most of the activities that we do are community-based. We've been working with schools across the country. We've done quite a number of projects. In implementing the project, as Wasaza, we had to undergo a lot of capacity building in certain departments, notably the financial department, procurement. We had to learn new ways on how to procure best. So that's definitely information that is going to remain with Wasaza, and those are the changes, the positive changes that the grant has actually brought to the organization. And we have also been able to collaborate with different stakeholders. Before then, we only had worked with maybe a couple, but with the coming of the grant, we were able to meet new organizations such as Afya Mzuri, Keepers Zambia, that at the moment we've been able to collaborate with to work on certain aspects of project management, or it can be implementation in construction of toilets or menstrual hygiene management. So the grant definitely brought a lot of changes to Wasaza.
MECB project initially started as a small grant. Our intention was to just put up a borehole, a commercial borehole, and reach about 4,000 households.
With support from Lusaka Water and Storage Company, we were able to write a project proposal to Millennium Challenge Account Zambia for a small grant, which was funded. Then after that, we started implementation. Then in the middle of implementation, we had a bit of challenges regarding water quality.
We realized that the groundwater in the community had high levels of nitrate, and it was not safe for babies and the population at large to be given. So we needed to expand the project and find a solution to that. And it resulted in sourcing water from Shaft 5 area.
It's a commercial borehole, a very big borehole with very good quality water. Yeah, then that's where we have the pump house. Then we have the pump is actually a hybrid pump, which uses a combination of both electricity as well as solar. But the main source is solar from Shaft 5 coming straight to the reservoir here. The reservoir is 267 cubic meters. According to the survey that was done by Millennium Challenge Account Zambia last September into October, the project will benefit about 24,000 people, translating roughly into 5,000 households. It is a project that has changed people's lives like instantly. We are coming from a background where people had serious challenges accessing water in terms of distance. Women, girls and boys, I think they spent quite a lot of time not only looking for water but also queuing up for water, yeah, with the very few points that we are supplying at that time. Yeah.
Situation yanze yovuta chifukwa manzi yenze kuvuta tenzo kondo uka 01 bwero panga malaini pajota pira manzi penango enzo tenzo ngala penango 2-3 days manzi kulibe so tenzo tondo sakira kwendo tapa kwa jack kujona wadi penango mwendo sakira mumafamu y'abantu chenzo chovuta kaitenzo time yambiri pakuti uchoke wende utape manzi usakire manzi ubwere wamba kusevenza ni time yaenda so apa manje at least olo time iliyonse amene ufuna ungauke watapa manzi wasevenza pamene ufuna usevenza shoka kuseni kufika kuma 22 so then itagona tikauka kuseni tisegura futi manzi futi tiapeza futi tatapa manzi ya clean ni yabwino chifukwa chakuti yalibe matenda tikumwa manzi ya clean so matenda sitingadwale mfuluma cholera dysentery typhoid sitingadwale chifukwa tilina manzi yabwino ya clean. So that's why tifuna manzi kuti yapake tinkale na manzi ya clean.
We made it clear to the community to say there is a cost to production of water, supply, distribution, etc.
so ngati taleka kulipira nishija kampani sibazafola ero na mankwala fuluma kurorini amene watigulira kuika mmanzi sitiza ya peza chifukwa chakuti sitinalipire ndrama.
Even the tokens, the tokens that they get, they have to get water, or they have to buy water up front.
So far so good. People are buying token, though it is at the slow pace, but are buying token, they are coming to loading their tokens, so at least it has saved people's time.
Chamene ninga kambeko nionga che zikomu pa project amene inabwera yotikira manzi na ku tinamvera chebwino oke vijava kuti kairi tareka kuvutika usakira manzi then matireterako manzi then tankana na manzi chimambesa bwino so tianekera kuikira konzeru na mapompi amene wanatiikira kuti yasaonongeke kaivi kaonongeka nishifuti tizamba kumwa manzi ya doti.
Most of them have made sure that they protect their taps so that people don't have access. I think it's coming from the realization that water has a cost to it and they have to pay for it. We have established 30 new kiosks which are dotted around the community. Then we have 1,230 household connections.
So nina time ya mbili yosevenza nchito za pa nyumba naamba ochita vintu vambiri penangu ningaende olo ku market kainiba ogulisa apa manje vintu vonse vili chabebwino kai manzi yaliko na pa manyumba tili nao vonse vintu vameo ufuna ochita ungachite manzi yaliko.
Overall, the project has been successful and we have been excited to see a lot of people benefiting from the project in terms of the rise in income, the city looking cleaner. It's quite gratifying to see women and children benefiting from the Innovation Grants Program. The project has been beneficial and we are excited to hear of the various benefits that have come to the individuals, some unexpected. But also we are happy because the project had challenges, but the practice of transparency, accountability and innovation were able to deal with the various challenges that were coming our way. It's been a good project. We are happy with the benefits and we are looking forward to the various aspects of them continuing on, and a lot of them are promising in terms of sustainability. Their cooperation or partnerships with the Lusaka Water, Lusaka City, the creation of the businesses that look sustainable, I think gives us great hope that the benefits that the IGP project has brought about will continue even in future. Overall, we would encourage future projects or people who are considering doing similar interventions to preserve a component for innovations and ideas from the private sector. This will not only encourage or solicit other projects or ideas that would be beneficial to the entire project, but then also it will leverage funding towards the project. And the Innovation Grants Program has been successful and we are happy that overall the benefits have dwindled to the communities.